put an end to financial mismanagement, poverty and endemic corruption, or even the instrumentalization of justice. This were the argument of the Guinean special forces to justify their coup and the overthrow of Alpha Conde. On this point, it must be noted that the record of Professor Conde, as he likes to be called, is far from brilliant. Since his arrival in power 11 years ago, Amnesty International and Guinean NGOs have deplored the increasing number of human rights violations in the West African nation. A situation, they say, has deteriorated further after the contested re-election of Alpha Conde for a third term. The repression of the demonstrations with the death of the demonstrators, the arrest of the main leaders of the protest, and the cutting of the internet and serious violations of freedom of expression and information should not be forgotten. All of these human rights violations really accelerated from the moment Alpha Conde announced that he was going to amend the constitution. His human rights record can hardly be considered anything other than disastrous, especially since he came to power in 2010 as the bearer of hope for the country and for the region. A former democratic opponent who had himself been a victim of Lansana Conte, who had suffered under these authoritarian regimes, and who had defined himself as the Nelson Mandela of West Africa. But as the years went by, we realized that his regime was unfortunately getting closer and closer to those of his predecessors. As in Mali, the Guinean military can boast a certain popularity, as shown by the sympathetic demonstrations that have broken out in various parts of Conakry. Among other things, they have promised a national consultation with a view to a political transition entrusted to a future government of national unity. The promises sound great, but human rights defenders are not swayed. Well, we do have fears, and how can we not have them when we know who the last military men were who came to power in Guinea by force? In this case, Musa Dadis Camara, and this is another opportunity to recall that there has still been no justice for the September 28 massacre. This is something to which Alpha Conde had committed himself, but in more than 10 years, his office was unable to organize a trial, despite repeated announcements. So this is an extreme disappointment. We know that most of the regimes in Guinea have once again ended in excessive use of force. We must remain extremely cautious this time, like everyone else. We can only welcome the fact that political opponents and several dozen detainees have been released. And this is obviously a good sign, a good thing. We have also noted that the so-called support points, the PA, these military devices of the army, had been deployed in the middle of Conakry for several years, but now have been apparently lifted. So there are positive signs, but we are now in this euphoria for some Guineans. In any case, the departure of Alpha Conde. On the other hand, obviously the military will continue to demand that there be justice for September 28 and justice for the many crimes committed under Alpha Conde that have always been swept under the carpet. Indeed, 12 years after the 28 September 2009 massacre, victims still await justice. But there are new hopes. Hopes for them that this time they might get it, and hopes that many Guineans share for better times.